Welcome to the Beyond Membership podcast, where we are uncovering what drives associations forward and how the suite of Momentive software products accelerates that momentum. Rob, we're here again. How have things been going for you lately?
Things have been going well. We've almost made it to Halloween, so it's hard to believe that 2025 is almost over. We had a kind of an exciting, busy week last week. ASE had its essentially online demo days. And since we have, as you know, 5 AMSs, we had 5 teams of people giving demos. And the fun thing is this is one of the few events a year the industry gets to do the real Coke and Pepsi test, comparing all of the different solutions. So there's a lot of excitement on our team doing all that. And I think from what I could tell, it all went very well for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know we have a fantastic demo team. Give a shout out to Logan and Collier for Nimble AMS, who do a really good job with their demos.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have such a strong team. And speaking of Nimble, I know you had a very busy couple of weeks with getting the latest release out. How's that gone?
Yeah, it's been a very, I'd say, exciting, sometimes nail-biting release for us over at Nimble this year, especially around the winter release. Salesforce tends to pack a lot of stuff in. So did we. So it's exciting to get that out the door. There are some really long anticipated features in that release, and it's exciting to see our customers get a chance to experience working with those.
Yeah, I know that the new member portal with all the new UI is going to be something that our clients are going to be very excited about, I'd say.
Oh yeah, some very nice member-facing interfaces coming there. So as usual, we have a fantastic company with us again today, Tadu Imam, who is the VP of Operations and Member Engagement at the National Association of College and University Business Offices. Tadu, it's really great to have you with us. I know you're a Nimble AMS customer. It's been great to have you as a Nimble AMS customer. As we typically do, we'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself and especially include something interesting about yourself.
Sure, Jake. Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Jake, for having me. I'm very happy to be here. I have been at NACUBO 18 years now, and it's been a fun ride. There's been a lot of change over the course of the last couple of decades, or almost 2 decades now. One of the things that I always think about that is interesting about me, which isn't necessarily a positive thing, but it's a fear. I am terrified of heights, but I've found that with technology and leadership, growth really happens when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone and trying new things. But you just have to trust your footing, look ahead, and don't look down, but keep climbing up. So that's something that definitely kept me going all these years. So
now, does that impact you when you're getting on an airplane, or is it just when you're looking over the edge of a building or something?
It's mostly related to looking over an edge of a building. Airplanes, I'm fine, totally fine. That doesn't bother me at all. I often get the window seat, which is also interesting, but it's really just, being on the edge of things. It's a little scary, but it is where the best view is. So
yeah. So, driving alongside a cliff or maybe over a bridge, those are kind of not
doing
for
it.
you.
Not doing it. Nope. I will find the avoid highways function on GPS. If
She doesn't like the Bay Bridge then, going from Maryland over to the beach.
Yeah, so the Bay Bridge, funny story is that we used to go all the time. I didn't notice that I was afraid until I had to drive. So, but now I found a beautiful route that doesn't involve the Bay Bridge.
It goes around.
It goes around. You still hit the outlets in Rehoboth. So we're good. We're good there. Yeah.
No, another interesting thing you told us the other day, and I'm going to tell a little bit of story that I think will go with it, is that, so my wife, when she started her career, she was in the government, and she started off as a GS1.
Mm-hmm.
And if most people any people who are listeners who know anything about the government schedule, that if you have a bachelor's degree, you start at a 7. If you have a master's degree, you start at a 9. So you meet almost nobody who started as a 1, because I guess she did some summer internship when she was 16. And of course, then she went on all the way to get up to the SES level. So I always think that that's a really funny story.
Yeah.
And similar to you, Tadu, that you're telling us, is that when you started NACUBO, you started as a temp. And now you've followed the same path. You've gone all the way to the top, to almost the top of the organization. So tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Yeah, so I was laid off or separated from my previous position and was looking for work and started temping. And I was a 1 day temp at NACUBO. So not even like a week long, just a 1 day temp for our tax council. And they needed folders made. And since my previous work was in the press corps, I was doing public relations, I made folders all the time. And apparently my folders at NACUBO were the best folders they ever saw. So they kept asking me to come back the next day and the next day. And then pretty soon it moved into a week long and then a month long. And they had a position open as an admin. And so I started as a GS1, I guess, or a very early employee, a junior level employee at NACUBO before working my way up. So it's been a fun ride.
It's a really cool story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to think of a similar thing for myself, like evolving, going from just doing kind of all of the jobs of the developers that work at Nimble AMS over the years. So hopefully I can continue to emulate your experience.
I'll pray for you. You'll make it, Jake. Don't worry.
And you've been through several AMS systems during that time. Were you on Netform at the time you started and then moved to Nimble, or was there one even before that?
So there was one before that. I did not work on it. It might have been IMIS, but we were with Nimble Netforum in '07 when I started.
Okay,
So
very good.
yeah, so we had been longtime customers of Netforum when they were with Vectra, and then it moved to, I can't remember the other name, but it was
Well, it went from a Vectra to Abila to Community
Avila.
Brands
That's
to
right.
now Momentive. So
Momentum.
some of us have been around long enough to know all that history. And of course,
Yep.
I was involved when NACUBO became a Netform client. So we were pretty excited about that at the time. But
Yeah.
we were even more excited when you guys decided to move to Nimble, of course. And I think that's part of what I think would be interesting for a lot of the listeners for us to talk about that whole digital transformation process you went through and certainly things about that. So maybe you can start the story as to like how you decided to change and move to Nimble.
Yeah, so I'll back up a little bit because the Nimble transformation was just under 3 or 4 years ago. But before that, when I first started at NACUBO, we were Netforum customers. We had our own in-house studio and we were doing webcasts and webinars through different platforms. And so we were preparing ourselves and our members for a real interesting way to learn. And so really to understand how you can teach these tactical and practical finance tools for different higher education members. And so learning and engagement really became a need in more accessible formats in 2007, 2008 during the Great Recession. And we were already prepared because we had that in-house studio, because we were moving in different ways to provide information to our members. And so long before anyone else caught on, NACUBO was setting the stage to sort of have a mobile event app, to set up those learning management systems, to really better understand how we can deliver content in a more, like I said, accessible manner. And so that foundation, when we were thinking about doing an overhaul of our tech stack, because that time moves pretty slowly when you're in it, but quickly as you look at, a long period of time. So between 2010 and 2020, we were in a very nice, sweet spot. We had the tools we needed. We had a lot of members who were willing to sign up and to register for these programs online. We were offering different levels of learning and different journey pathways for people to, again, receive that content. But when you're looking at an association or association management system, you're looking at how we can reach different levels of folks and better understand that data that comes in. And we found that Netforum was sort of not serving that need anymore. And so we began looking at how we can transform not just what our members are getting from us, but how we are receiving that information as well. And we wanted to look at trends. We wanted to see if there was a way we can turn around sort of the slight decline we were seeing in membership numbers. But we were having trouble pulling that information from Netforum in a way that was nimble, if you will. So when we started shopping for the replacement of that 20-year-old system, it was something we had to bring in the whole team for. We had to talk to our entire staff. We had to really better understand our business needs. We had been moving at a pace that was quick. But we wanted to make sure that we were slowing down and looking at the future of NACUBO beyond 2020. And so the pandemic hit. As we all know, a lot of organizations had to pivot and move their programs online. But again, since we were already had that foundation, we were prepared to handle virtual online conferences. We were prepared to handle offering certificates and CPEs in that manner for our members. But what we weren't prepared for was how all those integrated pieces of data lined up and told a story. And so when we wanted to our biggest piece of that was really to talk to, again, all the business owners at different levels of the organization, different departments, and start connecting every part of the organization, from finance to marketing to learning to advocacy, events, communities, all of it just into one system. And so that's when we started looking for a new platform to really address those needs.
And then, of course, you found Jake because he was building this wonderful Nimble solution. I imagine, Jake, coming out of the pandemic, you were probably building software as fast as you could.
Yeah, those were interesting times, I would say.
Interesting
Like,
times is a good word. A phrase.
yeah, I didn't think we were quite prepared for how significant a shift was coming. It sounds like NACUBO sort of had this. I mean, the way you describe it is it was long a need, and maybe how prepared you were to meet that need sort of was like a stroke of being able to tell the future a bit, of being able to understand what was coming and how much more significant it was going to be. And I'm sure that gave you a slightly upper hand to be able to like really scale into that. Yeah. For us, it was like, how do we help our customers who are going to be in kind of a precarious situation trying to adopt some of this stuff? So obviously we went pretty big into the e-learning kind of area, and we already had LMSs here at Momentive. So the efforts to kind of integrate and to show those stories really took over. And we also got to take advantage of things that Salesforce was doing. So yeah, I mean, we were really churning at that time as well to try and give as many tools as we could, because people were trying to get creative.
They were, and we were too. And I will say, and Rob, you might remember this from your time working with NACUBO, but we've always had a pretty high tolerance for risk when it comes to technology, meaning that we'll try things, and if it doesn't work after the first year, we'll quietly sweep it under the rug and hope nobody noticed. Yeah, and so I think that has been one of our saving graces, if you will, because we are able to adjust and be as adaptable to the economy, to how our members are moving, and making sure that we're not just keeping things because we started it. We'll quietly move things away. So that has always been helpful, at least at NACUBO, I think, and has helped us really approach major overhauls of our systems in a thoughtful manner. Especially when it comes to something as large as your AMS. And we did it one of the things I'll mention is that we did it in record time. We did it in 4 months. It was a phased approach, but from implementation to go live was January to April 19th, 2022. And so that day will forever be stuck in my heart, because it was the day we went dark for the first time and then turned on the light switch into a new system. And doing that, mid-flight, in flight with renewals, in flight with registration for our annual meeting, will cause anyone to lose some sleep. And so, but we did that, and it worked out because we did have a full team effort. It felt like it was something that we had to do, but it was actually something that we needed to do, and so that worked out for us. And just celebrating along the way as we were staying focused, working on these phased approaches, and making sure we hit all our targets. That really helped us manage the risk and stay on target with our goals. So,
for an organization of your size, doing that implementation in under 4 months is very uncommon, and it's a testament to just the quality of your team and your leadership, for sure. But part of that, though, is you also figured out how to parcel it out. So you said you had to have renewals and registration up.
Yeah.
But you actually did other parts in phase 2. And when I mean phase 2, it wasn't just that you built them or added them later. You actually left NetForum running for some amount of time. I think you maybe said 5 or 6 months, and
Correct.
then allowed those pieces. So then you were in a situation where you had to keep the two systems somehow in sync. So that was a decision that you guys made to go that route, and talk to us about how you pulled that off, because I think the listeners would love to hear your strategy behind that.
Yeah, so that really involves a full team because there were several business leads who had to manage the dual entries, right? So we were collecting registration for something on the net forum side, or collecting renewals and making sure that the data remained clean, but on the Nimble side. And there came a point where it ties in, Rob, to change management a little bit here because everyone hates your old system until you get a new system, and then they hate the new system. but but
Boy,
uh,
that is one of
but
my favorite lines. I say that all the
yeah,
time, so I
they
think it's
really
funny that
do.
you said it.
Yeah, it's remarkable how that works. And so what this allowed people to do was say, okay, I am tired of working in the old system. I only want to do things in the new system. So it made us move a little bit faster. In that sense, they were ready to sunset and close down different tools and resources that they were accessing from Nimble during that time where we had that overlap. And I will say the community brands team was really helpful in making sure that we had the tools we needed from Netform as we were transitioning to Nimble. Success was the ultimate goal for everybody. And I just want to say that it was really appreciated from all levels, how supportive everyone was of our goals and our need and our timeline because we didn't want to pay for two systems at the same time, but the team at Community Brands made it very easy for us to transition from not just an old system but to a new system in a way that worked. So it does take a team effort. You do have to talk to everyone about that duplicity on doing duplicate effort on doing things in the old system and in the new system, whichever direction you go in. But just making sure the data in your new system is as clean as possible because that's the goal here is to make sure that data is darn near perfect.
Yeah. Sometimes I am surprised at how much we talk about implementation in this industry. I rarely ever have in-depth conversations about the kind of nuance of functionality. It's always deep conversations about implementation and the things that go into it. And I've only worked with a few organizations, I would say, that have the same level of bravery as you do. And I think it goes a long way. I think like you talk about trying to adopt technologies
Yeah,
and being willing to cut your losses or being willing to it not going well
right.
and just moving on. That is such a stark contrast to what I see a lot of the time, whereas I see organizations that like get into analysis paralysis. Rob, I don't know if you have a take on that, but I think that this is unique for NACUBO.
I think so. And we've had at least one other podcast that we did, Jake, where we had another client who was very similar, had this concept of fail fast,
Yeah,
and move along. And I suspect, Tadu, that it's like your leadership team has come together to decide that you're going to try these things. You're not going to punish the team members if something doesn't go well. You're just going to decide, well, we tried that. It didn't work. We're going to move on to the next great thing. And through that iterative process, you end up with doing some really fantastic things that others probably don't think are possible.
yeah. I would completely agree. Our leadership team is 100% supportive of the fail fast concept and moving on. But also, resources are a challenge for a lot of organizations, right? So no one wants to be blamed for losing X amount of dollars or X amount of time on something that didn't work. But sometimes you just have to try it to see if it'll work and then cut your losses if it doesn't. But there are a lot of things you can learn from those mistakes, right? And so you'll learn maybe that your members don't really care as much as you thought about having a faster horse and they just want a new car, like Henry Ford said. So you just need to help people move along in that mindset, and recognize that losses aren't something that you should be punished for. The other thing I will say is that we work very closely, and not just the leadership group, but a lot of our departments, and collaborate. And it is a thoughtful approach. It's not like we're just trying things willy-nilly. We try not to duplicate efforts as much as possible. We'll check with other teams to make sure that, hey, if we do this, how does this impact your work? Does it make your job harder or does it make it easier? So that everyone's voice is heard. And so whether it's staff members or partners or whoever you're working with, so that level of collaboration, I think, inspires creativity in ways that we wouldn't have before. So it's always great. And for technology stack changes, for changes across the board, from our marketing to we moved from Hyro to HubSpot, and then we were on Great Plains. Stalin was sunsetting, so we almost didn't have a choice to move our finance system, but that moved to Sage Intacct. So all of those systems moving in the last 3 to 4 years has been something that everyone has felt. The need for improved technology, and two, that this isn't something that we can point our finger at the technology team. This is really about the organization as a whole. So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
It sounds to me like the organization is good at flexing that muscle of change.
yeah,
And because of that, you've learned how to be resilient in these moments. You've learned how to include people at the right time. Like you said, reducing duplicate effort. So you know how to adopt technology, and that is playing to your benefit because you have this kind of ability to be willing to let these changes through technology that could potentially be a ROI,
right,
not just be a fear of the risk.
exactly,
And that is, I think that is such a good way to look at it versus what we see a lot of the time, which is like, I'm not even going to tell my staff about the new system until a week before we want to go live because I don't want to upset anybody.
right.
Um,
Don't
and
hide.
that is like, yeah, that's the negative side.
That's a kiss of death when you run it that way.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I mean, in these, it's overwhelming to think about some of these system changes. It really is complex. They are not always intuitive, but once you start to sort of layer it and show the processes and how we can make sort of these more complex issues into these simpler terms or directions or how our business should operate, it builds trust. And I think, Rob, we talked about this and Jake before about trust with the team. Trust is the main thing here, right? So change management, all the terms you want to pull, it's really all about trust. Giving credit where credit's due, making sure people understand why the business model is working or isn't working, and what tools we can use to enhance those efforts. So I think trust is really the main theme here when it comes to technology changes.
From my perspective, you're kind of explaining the master class and how to effectively lead an organization through technology change. You're being somewhat aggressive, but you're not being reckless in any way. And you're, including all the right stakeholders, so that you have all the buy-in you need, and make sure you identify those potholes, because having the right people involved, they can spot the challenges. The other thing is that you may not be aware of is we run a survey every year to the industry, both in terms of the individuals who work at associations and nonprofits, as well as to the members. And one of the things that we found, and this has been year over year when we run this survey, we just did our 10th anniversary version, that members are more loyal to organizations that they find are technologically advanced and are trying to do things to support them through technology. And so my suspicion is you may be finding that you're getting very positive feedback from those changes and investments you're making.
Absolutely. And we are seeing a strong ROI in terms of engagement. I did mention that membership had been on a decline. State of the economy is not really helping higher education at this moment.
No.
So, but that's neither here nor there. I will say that our members are happy with what they're receiving from us, but the trust is not just on the internal side, it's also on that external side. So yes, technology matters, but also the look and feel of the organization. During our not to add to the work that we did, but we added a rebrand to our AMS restructure. And
Why
so,
Why
not?
not?
yeah, why
That's
not?
all.
I mean, while you're at it, NACUBO was turning 60 in 2022, and I was like, you know what? We need a new AMS and we need a new logo. So, we need to show how NACUBO was moving and shifting to be a more forward-looking organization. And so that rebrand really talked about our voice, our mission, our ideas, and who we are as an organization going forward. And that creativity, once everyone's had the launch of the rebrand and felt like they were part of this new and fresh looking organization, then it helped the technology piece move on a little bit smoother because they're like, okay, we've got this new look and feel. Let's also make sure that our systems are have a smoother look and feel. And then, not to just add more things to the plate here, but we updated our membership due structure again for the first time in 20 years. It was a thoughtful, equity-focused change that really set NACUBO up for the future. And again, that ties back to what you were saying, Rob, about that membership trust piece, right? So we updated our look and feel, we updated our technology, and we updated the dollars you're spending with us to make sure they reflect what we're doing for you as our service to your organization. So it went a long way to tie all three of those things, especially after the pandemic. We were reopening, resurfacing, and coming back to life. So it was kind of like we breathed. It was a breath of fresh air. So
Yeah.
just a few things. So
Yeah.
yeah. So my previous title was digital engagement, and so the goal of that was really we were the front porch of the organization, right? People like what they see on your front porch, they'll come in, and so we made sure we looked good. We made sure we had all the pieces in place. Our advocacy team and government relations team were pushing out resources that were helping our members, and we wanted to make sure we delivered the full scope of what NACUBO can do for you.
Some of the old timers that might be our listeners, Bill Clinton used to have the comment, it's the economy, stupid. And I use the same line as it relates to our clients. And I say, it's the member, stupid. So I'm always telling our R&D team that if we have extra time, or if we're thinking about how do we expand the system, think about the members first, because that's what our clients care about the most.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you're saying, like look and feel, it's just so critically important that the software looks good and looks easy to use, because it's then a reflection on you and your organization, either
Right.
positively or negatively. So it doesn't surprise me at all in your prior role to the one you're in now, that concept about the front door and letting people in or encouraging them to come in. And that's probably, infused you with even more, belief that that's critical in all the things that you're doing with the technology changes.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And going forward, we're looking at the 5 to 10 year plan. Now that we've done all of these things, how do you look at keeping that unified ecosystem going? It's not just about keeping up with technology that changes every day, but it's about shaping it to how we can serve our members better. So there's lots more to come.
Jake, I know that at Momentum we're doing a lot of work, not just on Nimble, but kind of the overall ecosystem around Nimble. That's probably starting to keep you a little busy in addition to everything else you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're working to build a platform that we can scale a bit more on, bring more of our portfolio out to our clients, and have a more interconnected, more consistent look and feel, and just user flow through our applications where it feels more unified. So that involves having a unified schema in the back end, integrating data across applications more consistently, bringing out more of our other, like we have LMSs, we have various AMSs, we have certification platform now, we have volunteer management. So we're looking to empower associations through these things working really well together. A lot of that is technology right now, like very complex topics like publishing data to a core service and change data capture and AI and all kinds of interesting problems to solve. So really excited for that and like what that's going to bring and what sort of features we'll see emerge in our various applications for our customers to take advantage of that are built on top of these new technologies. Taking a little page out of NACUBO's book and trying to continue to adopt technologies and not be scared to try new things, and which is typically our way over here in R&D anyway. So, but yeah, it's exciting times for sure, Rob.
And Tadu, you mentioned a few moments ago about kind of a 5 to 10 year horizon of planning that you guys have. What do you see as some of the things that you're hoping to do next when you're looking forward?
Well, everyone's favorite two letters, AI, right? Artificial intelligence is definitely top of mind for our leadership team, for our members. And we have a terrific thread in one of our communities about AI. Even more so, a few months back, we restructured one of our departments. So we have a business intelligence team now because it's all about data-driven decision making.
Decisions. Yep.
Yeah, and analytics. And AI really can help with anticipating some of those member needs. One of the other things we did was move our web to the cloud during this time. And so we're looking at some personalization tools to help with that engagement piece and really just guide some of those smarter business decisions. Because our infrastructure is now modernized, I did promise the organization that we would take a year and a half or 2 years off just to learn all of these systems and train. So we are taking a
Makes
pause.
sense.
Yeah, to just take a deep breath, tie in all our pieces, and see how we can link them together. We have a terrific tool through PropFuel that has tied through our higher logic communities that is allowing us to make blog posts, and then how we can tie all those things together, develop maybe a program or a webinar. So we want to tell the right story and provide information to people. And so, you have to do that together. And so I think that the pause has really helped with that. But also, when you're thinking about 5 to 10 years down the road, you don't necessarily want to pause and not do anything. So we are looking at some security infrastructure increasing that area of our portfolio. I mentioned AI and personalization. So those three things are really what we're focusing on.
Well, one of the things that has some alignment there with what we're up to is Jake mentioned some of this technology investment we're making. We have, like, if you take Nimble that you're using, obviously through Salesforce, we inherit a certain amount of AI capabilities that we're blending into our software. But at a level above that, as he was indicating, kind of outside of each of the individual applications, we're building this kind of middle layer. And part of that is so we can really overlay our AI strategy across all of the data that comes from all the systems. And so we're kind of taking that as a two-step process, but again, focusing, just as you said, on personalization, automation, a lot of data analytics, that kind of thing. So it doesn't surprise me that your organization is thinking a lot about that.
Yeah, yeah, it's very important, especially as we move into this sort of the uncertainty that we're all facing now.
Yeah, especially with AI, I think one of the interesting things over the next, 3 to 5 years is seeing associations get the tools to sort of compete in the engagement economy. People have a lot of things trying to grab their attention, and it's incredibly difficult to get a portion of that. You're competing with now just random everybody's on YouTube or Instagram, right? So,
Yeah,
and then on top of that, as an association, typically the things that you're providing to a member aren't as quick of a dopamine hit, right? Like
right.
when you're kind of competing with some of those other sources of engagement or entertainment, it's hard to capture that attention. So more tools that you can give, the better. I think personalization is the beginning, but AI as a utility for staff people to 10x their output is, I think, where you really see that sweet spot. So
Yeah,
think a feature like unified search across every application.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So something like that. And, that's the power of what the platform we're trying to build is. Maybe at some point we have that across our suite of applications, but certainly across as many as you can plug in.
Well, it's funny you say that, Jake, because I just saw a demo that some of our technology team did that was showing us some tools around, maybe we can call it unified search, but it was related to, the data. And you could ask a question such as, how much revenue did we have last year? And of course, it would show that number. And then you could ask a question, well, how about by month? And then it would just create a chart by month. Well, how about by month by rep who sold it? And I was like,
Right.
holy smokes, this is something that a person who doesn't understand the structure of the data and where it all is arrayed can suddenly ask questions and get the kind of answers they wanted. And so I look forward to seeing those kind of things come to fruition. Obviously, with Tadu focused on data analytics, that's the kind of thing that she's going to want for her team.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I try to talk to them about, data and analytics being a guide and not necessarily something as that you dictate, right? So because empathy will tell you the why of why somebody's doing things. So you can use both to adapt quickly and like help people better understand what you're trying to get them to do or to the call to action you want. But when you're thinking about how we compete for that attention of our members and that engagement, we really try to focus on relevance and like making sure that we're not just shouting louder, but we're showing up a little bit smarter and making sure that we're hitting those points. And that data will help us with that guideline, but really look at how we can shift focus on to the why people are doing things. People, their spans are short. We know that. So we really try to work on the simplification of access and personalizing those experiences where it matters. Even I think our annual meeting theme for 2026, I might be revealing this too early. Oh no, we told people in July. It's
Great news.
meeting you in this moment. So it's breaking news, right? So we are really trying to meet people where they are. We want to talk to you in that moment. So it's something related to meeting you in this moment.
So Tadu, as we move towards wrapping up here, we've covered a lot of topics, but, particularly as it relates to, you know, going through a technology innovation or change, what are some of the most important recommendations that you would give our listeners?
Oh boy, so many. Building that trust, I'll try to keep it short, but building that trust, keeping things open and transparent, that collaboration is 100% your best friend. Talking to your leadership team, making sure leadership is aware of the changes you're trying to make and why, and what it may or may not cost you, and how it's okay that if it doesn't go well, you will continue to move on and find the best tool. You got to keep trying. But it's really about that trust piece and building that collaboration. So that's,
Totally agree with you.
yeah. And staying curious. I don't know. My favorite word is curiosity. I think you can turn uncertainty into curiosity and like try to figure out why this isn't working, and see how that might work for your organization.
I like that. Yeah, a little bit of just like try and make it work. Try and figure it out type of mentality can go a long way for sure.
Yep. And if you can make it look pretty and change your brand, do it. A little razzle dazzle never hurt anybody. So there you go.
It's very true. Well, thanks for your time, Tadu. It's been an absolutely great conversation, and that's been
Okay.
another episode of the Beyond Membership Podcast.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Your time, Tadu. It's been an absolutely great conversation, and that's been
Okay.
another episode of the Beyond Membership Podcast.